like that to more advanced things, like get their strategics down, know what time the race starts.
Fantastic.
That's a huge one.
That's probably a big one.
To be honest, I've actually went to a meet and forgotten a pair of shoes before. So I did have 10 to keep track of, but I get there and I go, oh man, what am I long jumping? It's terrible.
Doesn't surprise me, Paul. You still probably high jump 6'5", huh?
I don't know, maybe. It's a possibility. Put some money down on it to find out.
Talking to two competitive racers themselves, sisters Nicole and Tara. Nicole, talk to us a little bit. Nicole's a kinesiology professor over there at Cal Poly. Again, elite marathoners, participated in 3 Olympic trials, including this year. She's also a mother of 2 fantastic young boys. I don't know how you do it. How is the schedule with those kids?
Schedule with the kids. Well, I think the main thing is there can't really be a schedule. So you have to be pretty adaptable when you got 2 little crazies running around that you have to manage, around some type of training. But you have to be flexible.
Lovable crazies. Let me ask you this same question. What's the difference here? What are the elite athletes doing here? Those that are trying to win this race, the first inaugural slow marathon, April 22nd, this Sunday. What are these elite athletes doing this week? How's the training change, and what are they mentally thinking?
Yeah, well, first let me say the great thing about this race is whoever wins sets a course record, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to have 2 course records on Sunday, one for the man, one for the woman, so that's exciting.
Fantastic point.
And then, secondly, this week for an elite marathoner is really about mental prep. Your training's done. I personally do know some elite level athletes, Paul, you can probably speak on this as well, that get a little crazy. They do some things that they know they're not supposed to do the week before the race, but most of them are pretty solidified in terms of their training, and they know that anything they do this week isn't going to help them, but it can harm them.
Yeah, the hay is in the barn is my favorite
Definitely. So remembering that saying is extremely important. Some of them, depending on the race, might want to know who their competition is, where they're at fitness-wise, where they're at injury-wise, how they're coming in, looking at the field, those types of things. They want to learn about the course. Personally, I never drive a marathon course. I did that my very first marathon. It was probably the biggest mistake. One of the biggest mistakes I've made as a marathoner, because it just seems exponentially longer when you're in a car than when you're running it. So just don't drive it.
Fantastic point. And that's something that probably a lot of these athletes have done as they've looked at the course online on slowmarathon.com and probably gone out there and maybe it might have been a little intimidating. So very, very good point.
Yeah. One of the kids I went to college with, he did his first marathon, and the only advice he had afterwards was, don't buy a new shirt before your first marathon. So he went out and he trained hard, and he was going to run his first marathon. He went out and bought himself a nice new shirt, different fabric. I think you can say this on the radio. Rubbed his nipples totally raw at like mile 7, and he said that it was terrible the rest of the race. Like he was running with this thing.
Well, it seems
rest
like
of the race.
And it seems like the elite athletes wouldn't have as much trouble with that. But Tara, are we talking about little tricks of the trade like that for some of these athletes to prevent chafing, to prevent some of these things that kind of debilitating after the race and may make you a little leery about signing up the next time?
Definitely, beginners. We try to go through things like blisters and sunscreen and visors, because it's going to be warm out there. To potty breaks and things like that. Luckily, this course is going to be very well aided, and what I mean by that, there's going to be aid station every 2 miles. Samantha, the race director who was just on, has really stocked the course well with plenty of hydration and nutrition and aid for Band-Aids and boo-boos.
Fantastic. Well, you're listening here to Living the Run on 1280 ESPN, The Ticket. I am the new host, Rex Stevens, alongside former Olympian Paul Terek, and we've got Tara Kulikov in from Pinnacle Training Systems, and her sister Nicole Kulikov, former Olympic trials marathoner. You said something to me one time, Nicole, about that first part of that marathon, those first 10 miles. Your advice would be should feel easy.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, if it doesn't feel easy your first 2 miles, then you're going to have a tough day. I mean, you're pretty much screwed. I hope I can say that as well. And your first 3-4 miles should be your warm up. And again, I mean, even through 16, 18, it should feel pretty smooth. So if you're going out too hard, you're going to know within the first half of that marathon.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's no possibility of getting in that thing without pain, and what Lance Armstrong always said, pain is only temporary, quitting is forever. How do you talk to the newbies, Tara, about some of the pain they're probably going to have and some of the suffering at different parts of the race, and give them little tips or confidence on getting through those kind of sticking points?
Well, we're very fortunate to have Nicole Hagobian, Hagobian, sports psychologist, teach our mental skills seminar that we provide to our athletes.
Would that be the sister that's standing right next to you?
That would be her,
Yes, that'd be
exactly. So mental skills. So we have them focus on a positive aspect. So not to focus on the pain, but to focus on other stronger part of their body. And really assess, is it going to jeopardize them?
I'm sorry.
Is it going to jeopardize their...
We all know where Paul's
No,
mind
I'm just thinking
went.
at mile like 19, this guy's going to be running and go, oh, my left ear feels so good.
No, totally.
My left ear
Hey,
is
if
so
that
good right
left
now.
ear
It is
is
fresh.
what-
I'm going
Yep.
to the ear. Go to the ear. Go to the ear.
Whatever gets you
Oh,
through that.
terrible.
Yeah. So
Is that a tip we could have found in the book Chi Running?
I do not. Probably, yes.
Basically, the marathoner, and this is just, again, from a guy who's never run a marathon, my understanding of the marathon is the gun goes off, don't do anything really stupid, the first couple miles should feel easy, and then when it starts to feel hard, at about like mile 9, you just go to your happy place and spend the next like 14 miles or 17 miles in your happy place.
Mile 9, that's pretty early. Hopefully
Well-
it's not feeling hard
Well,
by
I'll
mile
be
9.
at mile 9. I'd be curled up in my fetal position. That's where I would be. Hopefully, there's an aid station there.
Paul's going to have a seat at each aid station
Yeah,
next
oh,
year.
dude, that's right.
Yeah, when he enters. Well, talk about maybe, Nicole, some of your favorite courses. You've obviously ran quite a few marathons. Talk about some of your favorite courses and maybe what made them your favorites. And heck, even throw in one that was miserable and why it was miserable.
Yeah, actually, I've only run Rec 7 3/4 marathon. So
That's it.
relatively speaking, not a lot of marathons. My philosophy's been trials qualifier, trials, pretty much. But yeah, my favorite marathons are similar to the slow course. I really like the undulating courses, the rolling hills. I think, muscularly speaking, not to get too scientific here, it's beneficial. My least favorite course is a super flat course, the Chicago Marathon. There's a lot of people that love Chicago Marathon. I did not like the Chicago Marathon.
Just too flat for you, huh? You never felt like you could get the muscles in gear?
No, and I think that it was overuse of certain muscle groups and underuse of others. So the trials in 2004 were in St. Louis, and that course was probably similar to the slow marathon course, maybe a little bit steeper on some of the hills, and it was a criterion course. That's what they do for the trials. So you're running those hills numerous times throughout the loops, but I did really well on that course in terms of being a strength runner. Fantastic.
Did you ever experience, or did you ever mess around with any of this midfoot shoes or any of the 5-finger shoes? Did you ever play with that barefoot running type of thing? Or
She's old school, man. She
There
she
you
went out there, she
go.
toughed it out. She didn't need 5 toe holes for her shoes. She just points at those people in the laughs. Oh, it works. Like, oh, look at you in your pretty shoes.
I want to see them on your big clumsy feet, Paul.
Big old ox.
Well, it's bound to be a great race this week. We're super thankful for you guys and the energy that you've put into the race, and these people that you've helped out, Tara, training there, and Nicole as well. Both the physical and the mental aspect of this race is so critical, and I must say it's going to be a ton of fun for these guys. So thank you guys so much for your contribution. Again, we have Nicole Kulikov, kinesiology professor at Cal Poly, and her sister Tara, acupuncturist and trainer at Pinnacle Systems. When we return, Paul, Terek, and I will wrap up the first show back of Living the Run, taking over from the great creator, Ryan Ferran.
You're listening to Living the Run on ESPN Radio 1280 The Ticket. We're back with Living the Run.
Welcome back to Living the Run. I'm your new host, Rex Stevens, along with former Olympian Paul Terek. Paul, it's been a great first show for me. Thanks for having me in. I know you've been doing it for a year and a half, so you're a seasoned veteran, but thanks for letting a newbie in here and doing a little radio.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you keeping the show going. I think the one thing we forgot early on, and this is actually imperative, it's vital. We didn't thank Max, the producer, for coming back and helping us out.
Well, I had that on the list here, Paul.
Apparently
but
you were the bottom of the list.
Yeah,
Max.
you
You were
just
the
kind of
bottom of the
stole it.
list.
And, yeah, we were going to leave Max for that last concluding little segment there. But maybe next week we'll move Max up a little bit and get that thank you done a little early.
Yeah, that would be. You know what? I'm sure he would appreciate that.
I want to do one little segment. I thought one thing on Living the Run. Each time we get great guests like Samantha Pruitt or Nicole Kulikov coming in and talking about some great things, giving tips and take-homes, if you will. What can you take away from this show in a little segment we'll call Tips and Takeaways?
What can I take away from the show? When she said it was supposed to feel nice and easy through mile like 16 to 18, I'm going to take away the fact that she's just really good at running marathons, and I would not be feeling good at miles. It doesn't even sound good to say it. Like, it hurts me to say mile 16. Mile 16. You know when I'm going to run mile 16? When my car breaks down 17 miles from a gas station and my wife's in labor in the back seat. That's when I'm going to run mile 16. Cell phone doesn't work.
No question, Nicole is an elite athlete, a one-of-a-kind type of runner. I was just stunned to hear that she just didn't participate in too many marathons. She'd just go out, get that qualifying time, and then run the trials.
Well, I think it says a lot about the training, and the type of training that she did. You don't need to compete. You don't need to over-compete. One of the things her sister talked about was people trying to go out and test and see where they're at. That is a huge. The big tip that I would take away from it, and this is from my own experience as well. You don't need to go out and see where you're at a week, 2 weeks before the race. Don't feel good and then go out and run some workout that you've only run once or twice to see how what condition you're in. The hay is in the barn. Don't do anything stupid. Wait for the race to come to find out where you're at. They have the clock there. They have the distance measured. They'll tell you. But a lot of people, track and field was the worst. There would be guys, you would always, Olympic trials every time, U.S. championships every year. You would hear about a guy a week or 2 weeks before the race pull a hamstring, or a guy twist an ankle or overuse his ankle because he's like high jumping an hour or an hour and a half one day when he normally only high jumps for 20 or 30 minutes because he's having a great day and he wants to see where he's at.
Well, that probably is the best tip, Paul. The hay is in the barn, and as Tara said, just don't do anything different. Keep things the same. Keep them as is. Act like you've done it before. Act like you've been running just like you have over the last few weeks. In preparation, well, to you fans out there, thank you for listening to Living the Run. We are back. You can find us on livingtherun.com, recordings of this, as well as video. Find us on Facebook as on Twitter. A final thank you to Ryan Ferran for letting us get this going. Mike Chelson, Max Woodcock, our producer. And thanks again to our guests, Tara Kulikov, Nicole Kulikov, as well as Samantha Pruitt, race director. Come on out this week, guys. April 22nd for the first inaugural slow marathon. It's a can't-miss opportunity here in San Luis Obispo, a chance to be a part of this community and really a chance for health and fitness.
Hey, what are we going to be talking about next week? Let's look forward a little bit to next week.
Hey, next week we'll we should have the guests, I suppose. We talked to Tara, and she said that we could be bringing on a couple good stories of people doing their first half marathon or first marathon, as well as Samantha said she'd get us the winners, both the male and the female winner.
So we're going to be able to have the winners on next week. We're going to have a couple newbies on. It's going to be awesome. I'm excited to hear some stories about a guy who thought he was in incredibly awesome shape and went out, ran super fast really early and died. So I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait.
I love it. We should end with a Prefontaine quote there, right, that says to give anything less than your best is to sacrifice the gift, Paul. So for all those racers this weekend, give your best. For all those coming to watch, give us the best support you can. We will see you back here 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock on Wednesday on Living